Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Edge Sports Network. Hope you guys are doing well. We got another interview for you guys today. Nathan Rourke, quarterback, just finished up his career at Ohio University, and he just got drafted by the BC Lions of the Canadian Football League. Nathan, thanks so much for joining us here on the site.
Yeah, Nick, thanks for having me.
Great to have you on. This is first interview we've done with a Canadian Football League player. And you had an unbelievable career at Ohio. We'll dive into all that during the interview here. I want to start. You're originally from Canada, from Ontario, and back in high school, I knew you threw for nearly 4,000 yards, 59 touchdowns, and you also rushed for 7 as a senior when you were at Edgewood Academy. That was, out in Alabama, I believe it was. Alabama, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, and then you went to high school back in Canada for your first 3 years over at Holy Trinity. You helped your team there to its first championship. So I want to talk a little bit about that championship run. I mean, how did that kind of help you get ready for your senior season over in Alabama and just give you some confidence to kind of move over to the United States and then take it from there?
Yeah, that was that final year at HT was a unique year. It's one of my fondest memories of football. One of the best teams that I've ever played on. We were a very close knit bunch, and it was really cool to be a part of a team that had never won at that level before. The coaching staff that had been there had been to the championship level for I think 5 times prior, and we were the first team to actually go and win it. So that was quite the accomplishment, and the entire school got behind us, and in a unique way, a way that really hadn't happened before. So it was really cool to be a part of that. But yeah, every team is unique, and when I was able to get to Alabama and go to attend Edgewood and join the team there, they had such a culture for winning, and at the time I think they had 59 or I don't know, it was something crazy like 57, 58. Game winning streak, the longest winning streak in the country at the time, and so there's a lot of pressure to win there. But like you said, coming off a season where we had a lot of success, it was easy to continue that mindset and try to help and contribute to keep the winning ways at Edgewood.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly did just that, throwing for 59 touchdowns, rushing for 7. So 66 total touchdowns, pretty ridiculous in your senior year. I then know you went to Fort Scott Community College in Kansas. So when you were in community college there, when you're playing there, do you kind of have an idea of where you want to go afterwards, or were you just kind of trying to search out what colleges were the best fit for you, or were you kind of set on Ohio? I know that coming out of high school and stuff, coming out of community college, I read an article by the Province, which is a Canadian site, that said you didn't really have a lot of D1 offers, so you were facing some adversity there. So I want to know, what kind of had you set on Ohio, and also when you kind of don't have so many looks by teams, so many offers, how do you kind of use that as motivation to be so good at the next level?
Yeah, well, I'll try to answer all the questions there. The first thing is that when I went to junior college, I was kind of looking for anything. I didn't have any offers out of high school, and so when you're going to junior college, you're just looking for any way to get out, any kind of 4-year institution that's going to be able to give you a scholarship, because that was ultimately the goal. So Ohio just kind of came down to the coaching stability that it was kind of unique to the rest of the country. Coach Solich has had numerous opportunities to be able to leave, but he's still been there for, I think at the time it was 13 or 14 years, and he just signed an extension. So he continued to stay at Ohio, and so that's really unique. And I had the same coaching, the offensive coordinator and position coach when I was at Ohio, which is really important to me. And I was really lucky to be able to do that, because a lot of people in the college coaching field, they like to, and it makes sense, but they just try to use every position as a stepping stool for the next one at a bigger school, a Power 5 school, maybe up to the NFL, whatever it might be. But there's a real special thing going on in Ohio where people are very, satisfied with where they're at, and they just want to do what's best for the program, and that's what I found there. And I think that's it. I answered all your questions. I think that was probably, I think that was close, but yeah, basically it was a unique situation, and I was happy to take advantage of it, being there in Utah.
Yeah, I mean, you looked really good, and you set yourself up really nicely for your career at Ohio. I know your first season, you throw for just shy of 2,400 yards, 18 touchdowns, and then over 2,000 yards and 17 touchdowns. Your next season. So, I mean, when you come into your first year at Ohio, what's kind of the mindset you put yourself in? I mean, are you nervous? Are you kind of, I'm sure you're excited, but what's kind of the mindset that you have going into this new atmosphere, Division One college football, kind of new pace of play, and I want to know too, Canada and the United States, is there kind of a different pace of play there too?
Yeah, there's definitely a different style of playing. I mean, it's a different game in Canada. We play a Canadian game, and so the rules are different. The ball is different, and the field is different. So, but luckily for me, I was able to go to start playing the American game as a senior in high school in Alabama, and so I had some experience. And so when I went to Ohio and I was playing with the Division One level, it was my first time playing the American game. But yeah, when I went to Ohio, the mindset for me was just learn as much as you can and try to improve as much. I know coming from junior college, I wasn't an established player at all. I was still very raw, and there was a lot of room for me to grow. And kind of how I feel now, kind of heading and transitioning into the professional game, that there's still so much for me to learn. And that's the kind of mindset I had 3-4 years ago. At Ohio, I wasn't a starter at the time, and the position wasn't going to be, it really wasn't up for grabs. It was kind of, I was kind of, brought in to be the second guy, and kind of put my head down and worked and tried to earn all my teammates' respect, and kind of went from there. Things kind of fell in line after that.
Yeah, I mean, that first season, you went for over 2,000 yards, 17 touchdowns. It was actually in community college when you had the 2,400 yards, 18 touchdowns. But then you come out your sophomore year, you go for 2,434 yards. And, I mean, your junior and senior season, you combined for 43 touchdowns, and you had just 13 interceptions. So I want to talk a little bit about that. Your TD interception ratio was outstanding your entire career at Ohio, but specifically in those last 2 years with the program. I know a lot of guys in those last 2 years, they might come out, try and take a lot of risks, raise their draft stock a little bit. They might make some passes that are risky, so might be throwing a little bit more bad passes, some more interceptions and stuff. But you still managed to look really cool, calm, and collected. I mean, how'd you do it? How'd you kind of, just stay calm, work within yourself, work within the game, and just kind of take what came to you?
Yeah, well, for me, it was never about trying to raise my draft stock. The way that I, kind of looked at it was that as soon as I signed, a scholarship and I accepted the scholarship from Ohio, it was my responsibility as a player to be able to do whatever's best for the program first, and be a Ohio Bobcat first, and everything else would take care of itself. So my mindset was never to be about me kind of guy, and me kind of feel, and me kind of mentality, setting myself up for the best position as possible in the future in the NFL. So I was playing within the offense and trying to be as efficient as possible, which I think I did a good job of. And they asked me to be able to be efficient in the passing game as well, and that was something I tried to improve every single year. But I was also able to contribute in the running game, which I was extremely proud of as well. So I think with that kind of things going, being able to contribute in that way to the program, I think we were able to be very diverse on offense and be able to collaboratively as an offense be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were unbelievable. You had 8 games this year where you threw a touchdown without throwing an interception, and you also threw an interception in just 3 games. Ended the season with 10 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in the final 4 games. So you really peaked right at the end of the year going into the bowl game. And I know, you got plenty of experience with bowl games. You've led the Bobcats to 3 consecutive bowl wins. This past season, you played in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. You guys won 30-21 in a win over Nevada. You had 231 yards of total offense, so you really did lead the team. Had a rushing touchdown as well. So going into those bowl games, you've obviously had plenty of success in them. What's kind of the preparation for that, and just what's the experience like playing in a bowl game in general?
Yeah, so first of all, we were extremely lucky to be able to play in 3 different bowl games with 3 different sites and with 3 different teams. Really, there was a different personality, I think, and a character of each team, and I was so lucky to be a part of each one of them. And obviously, winning them is even cooler. So, but yeah, I think that the way that we handled the bowl situation, not only as players but as as a staff, I think Coach Solis did a fantastic job of being able to maintain a balance between allowing us as players to have fun and enjoy the time that we had in the certain sites, whether it was Idaho or in the Bahamas or in Frisco, Texas. He definitely allowed us to go and see the city and see our surroundings and explore, but also be able to bring us back in and lock us back into the task at hand. I think we handled those situations all 3 of those years better than our opponents. And, I think that, it was pretty easy to see based off of how many guys we sent home in comparison to them for disciplinary issues. And I think that's just a credit to the way that we were managed that. With the last bowl in Idaho, the biggest hurdle that we had to overcome was the fact that we had, a month between our last game against Akron and then a month until we played Nevada. And so I think the coaching staff did a good job of keeping us fresh, but, keeping us, making sure that we were still not losing any muscle memory from the season and kind of staying in season mode. It was a unique situation, but I think we handled it really well, and I think that's why we were able to come out on top.
A lot of success in those bowl games, a lot of success in your career at Ohio as well. I mean, you're the all-time leader for touchdown passes, yards, and rushing TDs for a quarterback. And I know your younger brother, actually another quarterback on Ohio. So, what's it kind of like having the family on the team there? I mean, is it pretty competitive, or are you kind of trying to be a mentor for him? I'm sure you are now that you have moved on to professional football. But what's that kind of like, 2 brothers on the same team? I mean, we see it in the NBA a lot, but we don't really see it in football a lot. So, I mean, what's that experience kind of like?
Yeah, it was definitely unique. It wasn't the first time we were teammates, and at Edgewood, he was on the team as well. So it's special to have him in the room because he's a great person, and so he becomes a really good teammate. We have a really good relationship, and so he's able to support me in a way that's really selfless, and it was good for him as well to be able to come in and not have a pressure to play and be able to learn and redshirt and get the experience. The limited amount of experience that he was able to get, but not in a pressure situation. I think it's going to set him up well for the future. He's going to have an opportunity to be the guy this year and moving forward for the next 4 years. I think he's going to have an amazing career. And so, but for me, as kind of the starter going into the year, being able to know that I was going to have the support of all the guys in the room. They were all extremely supportive. Kind of talking, having an open line of communication between me and the coaches, but also communicating amongst ourselves on the sideline during game days, and having the same amount of encouragement as criticism, and kind of maintaining that balance. I think it was a really special room, and it definitely contributed to a very special year.
Certainly has a great mentor in yourself. I know that you were the highest selected quarterback since 2001 in the Canadian Football League draft year. So, I mean, break it down for us here. What are kind of the emotions when you hear your name get called in a professional draft like that? I know you're headed back home to Canada to play for the BC Lions, but 15th overall pick, I mean, not many guys can say that they were a top 25 pick. Not many guys can just say they were drafted in general. So what's it kind of mean to you to see all the hard work pay off, and how did it feel to hear your name called on draft day?
It was a very different night than it was on the Saturday prior. That was the NFL draft, and that's kind of when we thought that was going to shake out. There was a lot of disappointment from that day, and we thought that there was a possibility of me getting drafted maybe late, but we were really settling into the idea of maybe getting an opportunity as a free agent and at least being able to be on a team and have an opportunity to be undrafted and to learn from some kind of situation, but that just never came. And so to kind of be in the last couple of days, kind of understand that the CFL was going to be more of an option than we had initially thought, to hear that, get the call initially from Coach Campbell and to say that they were going to pick me, and to, well, first of all, going into the draft knowing that BC was a place that we wanted to be and it was a good situation, and then for it to work out that way was really something special. And so, and then obviously with everything that's been going on and being able to be home with my family and share that moment with them was really special as well.
I'm sure it was great, awesome experience. I mean, it's professional football; it's the next level. So are you nervous? I mean, I would imagine there's some nerves there. I'm sure the excitement might take over, but what are some things that you're kind of looking forward to the experience? But is there anything that you're a little bit nervous about, a little bit, on the fence about going into this next level of football here?
Yeah, I think there'll be definitely more nerves heading, when we have things more worked out. I think the
Mm-hmm.
CFL right now is still scrambling to try to figure out, exactly the best way of having a season right now. It's been
Mm-hmm.
all, unfortunately, with all the circumstances of the coronavirus and whatnot, and so they're still trying to figure that out. And I'm excited at the prospect of continuing being able to play and to be able to play football at the professional level.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been a dream of mine, and to be able to do that is really, really cool. And once the opportunity is really kind of set in stone, and we have a date of when camp is and when the season starts, that's when I think I'll start getting a little bit more of the butterflies and being
Mm-hmm.
able to really want to get out there and stuff like that and continue to learn. But it's been awesome. It's been a good situation right now. I've been able to talk to some of the players and the coaches to start getting my feet wet in the playbook and starting to learn a little bit of the verbiage and whatnot. And it's kind of like learning a new language, right? So I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
kind of get immersed in that a little bit, and hopefully we'll be able to get on the field soon.
Back home in Canada, hopefully you guys do start on time. I know everyone we've talked to on the site is hoping sports come back soon, um, as are we at the site. I mean, it's just been very tough to go through a situation like this pandemic without sports. I know a ton of people lean on sports, so hopefully your season starts on time. I know everyone's hoping the same. And we like to end the interview on two questions here. One of them, I mean, just pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Second one, you might have to think about a little bit. But first question here before we wrap up, I mean, do you have any? We always like to give our guys a chance to say this. Do you have anything that people might not know about you? Any interesting talents? Any kind of hidden stories that people might know? Funny stories about your career? Just something unique. Throw out anything out there. We'd love to hear it.
Oh man, that's a tough question. I mean, the biggest thing about me that people might not think, may not realize, is that I've committed. Obviously, I think that food and nutrition and
Mm-hmm.
sleep and recovery, all that stuff is really, really important. So I don't think it's that interesting, and I don't really like to advertise it, but I think that anyone listening should be able to at least appreciate the fact that I'm trying to take care of myself and whatnot. But
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing a plant-based diet for a long time, so I've been giving up animal products and stuff like that, and so just trying to take care of myself and try to put the best fuel in my body.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how interesting that is, but I do think that might separate me from the next guy.
Hey, I think that's pretty good right there. That's really tough too. That's really hard. I don't think people realize that. I tried going vegetarian this year for because I was trying to get like in peak condition. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go vegetarian. I'm gonna go like protein, combining like pasta and stuff like that. That's where I'm gonna get my protein. I think it lasted like 12 hours. I'm not even kidding. I think I went like 12 hours. So that's very tough. That is a very tough thing to do. And I don't think everyone realizes that. So I'd say, yeah, that's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting. That's a good one right there. One we haven't heard yet either. So definitely unique. And I know the second question here might be even tougher, but if you had to describe your game, your style of play in one word or, a phrase, how would you kind of describe that style of play?
That is a good question. Man, in one word, um, I don't know. I mean, the word that comes to mind right now is elusive. I think
Mm-hmm.
the thing that separates me from the next guy, especially at the quarterback position, is the ability to make people miss. I'm not the fastest or the quickest guy, but I
Mm-hmm.
seem to have a knack to be able to get out, break tackles and be able to feel people out. Hopefully that will translate to the professional level as well. I was asked to run the ball a little bit more. I really wasn't asked to run the ball until I got to Ohio, and I was able to kind of assert myself as a little bit of a runner, especially my sophomore year. And so,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I would attribute that to that. For me, the quarterback position is all about doing whatever it takes to move the chains to your team, and And that's something that I pride myself on being capable of doing that, and whether that's in the passing game or in the running game, I'm willing to do that. And so, again, like I said, hopefully that translates to professional league, and I'll be able to continue to do that. But that seems like it's the best I can do with that.
Hey, I think that's pretty good right there. You definitely a dual threat on the ground, in the air. So pretty good right there. Pretty good. You did well with those two tough questions. I know they're not the easiest ones, but Nathan Rourke, everyone, Ohio University quarterback, all-time leader, yards, touchdowns, rushing touchdowns for QB at Ohio University, folks, and just got drafted by the BC Lions of the Canadian Football League. Nathan, first of all, congrats on getting drafted, selected 15th overall. Hopefully your season starts on time. Congratulations on a historic all-time career at Ohio University. It was great having you on the site. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem at all. We'd love to have you on again sometime. And guys, you can follow Nathan's career. We'll put a link down to his Twitter for you guys to go give him a follow. And we'll also put a link to the Ohio University website for news and updates regarding the team, as well as the BC Lions, so you guys can follow them in the Canadian Football League, barring that the season starts on time. But guys, thanks for joining us here on Edge Sports Network for another interview. Take it easy, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you guys next time for another interview.